Please give a welcome from France, Thierry Lepercq.
And by the way, it's my birthday today, so...
Congratulations, Thierry.
Thank you, Edwin. Thank you to you and your team. It's true that we've been engaging each other for many, many years. Actually, I remember attending your conferences as early as 2007. And now we've been traveling together around the world. I think you've done an incredible job pushing this industry to think, to meet, to exchange, and to go through hard times. And I very much appreciate this occasion to have a dialogue with you. As you can see, we're wearing orange. This is not a statement, we're not Dutch, but we're not going to wear the orange color in Brazil, but hope for the best for your football team. To a certain extent, orange is the color of difference and standing for something new. And what we have done in the energy world in France and now in several other countries around the world is trying to bring forward a new model. And that new model stands in just two simple words: competitive solar. We have been convinced from the first days where Solairedirect was founded 8 years ago that what was interesting is not to develop a business, but, and I've heard that word many, many times, sustainable business. The only way you establish a sustainable business is by being merchant. I think this is a symbolic place here. And I want to pay homage to the trading skills of the Dutch over the centuries. Business means doing away with the government. Might be surprising for a Frenchman. And I'm going to quote a very important person. Government is not a solution. Government is the problem. That person is not Ronald Reagan. It's Mohammed Yunus. I had the great occasion to talk to him a couple of months ago. Actually, it was a year ago in New York, and he has developed an incredible source of business, social business in that case, but by staying away from government. Doesn't mean that we should not say thank you to the governments of Europe, the governments of the Netherlands, of Germany, of France, and other countries for not introducing incentive schemes. But incentive schemes are like cocaine. At one point, you need to do away with them. And what I'm going to talk to you about is how we can do away with them and live without incentives, live a world without incentives and without subsidies, and to just like to rebound to the previous speaker, to be the solar that helps. You know, solar, we always discuss, hey, with solar we need help, we need assistance, we need support, we need the government to do this, the government to do that. Now, what if we can help? And I think, for instance, you had a very interesting conference in Senegal. Senegal, there's no feed-in tariff in Senegal, and there will never be one. Solar is certainly a solution. By the way, we're working on a project there to supply a cement plant at half the price, which is currently buying its energy. So a few words about Solairedirect. This, by the way, this is a business which looks a lot like property business. Our business, we have today switching from an incentive-driven business to a market-driven business. We have found ourselves in a situation to say, hey, this looks like property. Development, services, and investment. In the end, we're talking about assets with three important characteristics. Location, location, location. Also was mentioned by the previous speaker. Location is important, it matters. And what we have been doing over the last 8 years is building about 500 megawatts across various geographies with this integrated business model, which is designed to serve customers at market prices, mostly living through the French ups and downs in the markets, and certainly most of the, actually we've been taught with the reduction of feed-in tariffs in France that have happened year after year to survive and in the end prosper. Now, how have we prospered? How do you turn solar power into competitive things? Well, it's very simple. First, obviously, you reduce capital expenditures. Today, I mean, when we did our first projects, we were doing projects, I'm talking about ground-mounted. We've done thousands of rooftops as well, but I'm going to focus on ground-mounted systems. We started with over 4 euros per watt systems. Today, in India, we're as low as 75 cents. I'm talking about turnkey systems, including EPC, development costs, and everything, 75 cents. Capital costs matter. This is the most capital-intensive industry there is. 10 euros of investment needed to generate 1 euro of revenues. And coming from finance is something that I've learned about capital intensity and how it matters. Reducing the cost of capital is fundamental. And what we have been doing so far, as far as we're concerned, is to reduce the cost of capital, that's in France and Europe, to close to 6% for leverage IRR. Now, what's the result for that? That's the, actually it's not something that we put together, that was designed by Fraunhofer in a very interesting study that they published late last year. The message is simple. Solar is the cheapest form of energy nearly everywhere, provided there are a number of conditions, and we'll see. And today, I can tell you, we are in Chile have costs which are as low as 50 euros per megawatt hour. And we think we can achieve, that's in the next 3 to 5 years, 35 euros per megawatt hour. 35 hours. I haven't put nuclear because when I put this thing in France, you know, I don't want to shock people and they're going to be upset if I put nuclear as being very expensive. But as we all know, nuclear stands around, you know, UK government told us something about the cost of new nuclear. It's around 110 euros per megawatt hour. So what you can see here is briefly that, you know, roughly PV is roughly at the level of coal. Actually, if you go to South Africa, where we have a very significant business, new solar is significantly cheaper than new coal. The 2 new 5 gigawatt plants that are being commissioned these days. What's the result for that? We've developed our business, you know, still a medium-sized company, 250 people, but we've managed to choose not only those countries that have subsidies. By the way, aside from France and Europe, we didn't go to Italy, we didn't go to UK, we didn't go to Japan. We chose those countries where we thought that there was a very strong case for competitive merchant solar. And at this point, we've developed and built projects in all these geographies. And I've put here some of the examples of what we've done into what we think is the way everybody should now start thinking, the merchant way, selling power directly to power users. I'll start with France. I was with the Minister of Energy just 10 days ago, inaugurating a solar park northwestern France, with a 30-year PPA, which we signed with a local utility, and built a system at 92 euros. I must say that's it's not very high irradiation area. The equivalent of these 92 euros, if we generate the power in southern France, is 69. So we today can generate power at 69 euros per megawatt hour in France. In the US, we've signed a PPA at 54 euros. I must say that today in Texas, we are bidding at $47 per megawatt hour. I must say also that includes the 30% investment tax credit in the US. So we're roughly around these 50 euros per megawatt hour, which is more or less what we're standing in Chile. And the good news about Chile, for instance, is that the power prices, the wholesale power prices are around 100. That's not Europe. 100 euros per megawatt hour. So the business model is very simple here. We finance project directly on the basis of sale to the spot markets. We have 50 megawatts being soon to be built, fully financed on the basis of sale to the spot markets. We also have sales to PPAs with private off-takers such as mining companies. And in India, we've done the same thing with the cement companies. So the message here is very simple. Provided a number of conditions are met, and that does require, it's true that power markets are not open everywhere. You know, I've put, we have a presence in China. That's a complicated country. In Thailand, the prices, power prices are still too subsidized in Thailand. Now there are a number of other countries which are opening up, and we were recently, it's not right on this map, but my colleagues, I was just talking to them a couple of hours ago, are in Mexico. Mexico is a fabulous example, and you organize a wonderful conference there. And I encourage everyone here to go to Mexico aside from that. That's a nice place, but I'll be back. Anyway, merchant power today, the soul that helps, is available to everyone. And there again, we pride ourselves on the fact that when we inaugurated our first solar park a year ago in India with Minister Farooq Abdullah, he said that we were doing something as a landmark because we were showing that solar can be competitive in India. And then the press was saying, hey, solar is now accessible to the common man, which is a very important thing in that country. Now, what about Europe? And there again, this is not a very sunny day, I'm sorry, but I can tell you that right at this moment, solar, there's sun in southern France. Don't go to Paris. Paris is just as likes as much as sun. But if you look at the numbers I was quoting, 69 euros, which we could achieve in southern France, the equivalent, if I use the generation capacities here, is 110 euros. What is the message behind that? And this is a complex message because we always wonder, is solar a fully decentralized thing that should be put on everyone's rooftops so that it's used locally? And there is sort of a level of truth into that. I'm not disputing it. But in the end, if I may use that, comparison, if you want to grow your vegetables on your balcony, why not? But you cannot feed your family on the basis of vegetable grown on your balcony. In the end, it needs to be grown in a field. And if that field is a couple of miles away, that's fine. If it is 1,000 kilometers away, why not as well? So the message here, and then it gets back to solar can be decentralized, should be close to power consumption. At the same time, cost matters. And the issue is when you see this map, you can see that if you look forward, it does make much more sense. And there again, no offense to the northern part of Europe, and that includes, by the way, the northern part of France. It does make so much more sense to generate power in the south of Europe. Now, you're going to say, hey, why not in Africa? And that's what lots of people had, this Desert Tech initiative. Then there are other issues. There are grid connection issues. And obviously, if you go to to Africa, you're gonna, how do I connect the grid, and what are the issues of power security? So, I'm not here as a salesman of southern France, but I'm just going to give you an example. As it happens, we've developed in that region we've built about 250 megawatts so far, and we have about 1 gigawatt of projects being developed. And the message is honestly very simple. One way, I'm not saying that's the only way forward for Dutch solar. But I'm saying, we do have lots of Dutch tourists in southern France. We do have, I'll talk about it as well, Dutch farmers and everything. Europe, if you consider, I'm not saying that France should be considered a Dutch colony. These days, this would not be very considered. But in some French villages in the south, you could consider that you're close in the Netherlands because there are lots of Dutch people there, and they're, by the way, most welcome. The message here is that if you can have something where you're saying, hey, maybe I can generate my own power, and my own meaning, and then I'm going to take the example of what we did in the Poitou-Charentes area of France. You can generate power in one place and consume it in another place. What we inaugurated with Minister Royal 2 weeks ago was the scheme whereby we have both a local government investing in a joint venture with us in solar parks, that's one thing, and another one, a long-term 30-year contract to buy power. And that scheme is based both on locally bought power, locally produced power in that not so well irradiated areas of Poitou-Charentes, and power that is sourced from the south, from southeastern France because it's so much competitive. And when you're Seolis, this local power company that serves 150,000 customers in western France, at one point, there again, cost matters. Because if you can generate power and serve your customers with 30% less expensive power, that does matter. And then the issue is, at one point, the grid matters as well. We can say, hey, we are locally producing, so the grid is like not our problem. We think that the grid, solar, if solar wants to help, solar needs to have a systemic approach. You cannot just say, hey, I'm just producing locally, like self-consumption and everything. Taking a holistic approach and going into the and taking the full perspective is, we think, the best. There again, so if I take there again the Dutch perspective, let's say, why not? Why not sourcing part of my solar power down south, even though it does need some transmission, but as it happens, there is transmission. I mean, it does need some reinforcement, but it's not like Spain. Spain, you have the Pyrenees, and you cannot cross the Pyrenees, or it's very hard because the power connection between France and Spain is very bad. The good thing about Northern Europe is that it's seamless. The power goes up and down, and actually you can go see it through the power markets. The wholesale power markets of France, Germany, the Netherlands are more or less the same, because it's so well interconnected. Italy is another market, UK is another market, Spain is another market, Scandinavia is another market. Here we have a common market, if I could say, use the original word of the European the basin. Now, a few words about how we structure these things. I'm not going to, this would be a long presentation. This is a graph of what this contract that we signed with the PPA we signed with this off-taker in the Poitou-Charentes region for a total of 120 megawatts. But basically, the message here is that there is a way to sign contracts for a long period of time which are bankable. Because lots of people say, hey, if the government doesn't buy the power and everything, lots of people in France are scared about the end of feed-in tariff, saying, if I sell power to somebody else, how's it going to work? And our message and our experience is that it's possible to finance these projects. And last but not least, and I mentioned a few of those companies. By the way, we're quite proud that some direct and indirect Dutch investors, including pension funds, have invested in our projects. Today, if you look at a pure financial standpoint, there is no better investment for a pension fund than a solar asset. It's like a bond. By the way, you have this innovation which is now spreading around the world, starting in the UK and now in the US, which is these so-called yieldcos, where you have companies that put together solar and wind assets and provide investors with quasi-guaranteed yields. Today, it's a great way to reduce the financing costs and at the same time attract these trillions of dollars which are ready to invest. Aside from that, our own experience, for instance, aside from Dutch and German funds, we've also, the largest provider of funds for Solairedirect is BlackRock, which is a fund manager which is the largest in the world for $4 trillion. So basically the message is there, if there are today power consumers in the Netherlands, and that power consumers can be power companies, that can be private off-takers, that can be cooperatives, that can be that are willing to commit to contracts for a long term, but not to commit and pay more. The idea behind that, and I get back to this to what we've done with this contract. There's a cap into it, and so Ségolène Royal mentioned the fact that she calls that the solar shield. So she said, solar is not only something that is in that case market-based or can be cheaper now, but most importantly, it can guarantee low prices for a long period of time. That's also something that cement producers and other guys who rely on energy for their competitiveness ask for. Solar can be a tool of competitiveness for countries, for regions, etc. That's the solar that helps. Now, to get back to the model, that's what we call the inflation hedge. Solar, if you look at the other way around for the investors, if prices go up, who knows? Solar assets also are a good hedge against inflation. They're again a very good thing for pension fund investors. And then again, I would call upon everyone to follow the example of the Dehaene family in Normandy and come to France and develop projects, and we can be your partner. Thank you. Thank you.